was actually received by these companies, they were basically diverted to third-party companies, and eventually it was siphoned off. Effectively, those loans became NPA. Now, it turns out that these companies, despite weak financials, they were essentially given money loan from the banks purely because of certain guarantees that were given. All this while, Anil Ambani has essentially maintained that these were decisions that were taken by the board, and the very fact that the board wasn't being dictated by Anil Ambani himself.
Documents accessed by Republic shows lendings from the China Development Bank, Export-Import Bank and Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. With the attachment of a board and now Chinese banks entering the frame, the probe into one of India's most high-profile corporate investigations has placed Anil Ambani under the intense scrutiny.
And now viewers, the Supreme Court has come down heavily on the NCERT over a controversial Class 8 social science textbook that referred to corruption in the judiciary. In fact, Prime Minister Modi has also expressed displeasure for the inclusion of the corruption part in the textbook. Now, in a strongly worded hearing, the top court imposed a blanket ban on the book's production and distribution, ordered seizure of all the physical and digital copies, while also issuing a show cause notices to senior officials. Here's a detailed report. Take a look.
In a strong response, the Supreme Court cracked down on the controversial NCERT textbook. Chief Justice of India, Surya Kant, said that the issue cannot be taken lightly, calling the chapter a calculated move that could influence young minds. The court ordered immediate removal of all physical and digital copies and imposed a blanket ban on further distribution. In the latest update of the NCERT row, Prime Minister Modi expressed displeasure over the inclusion of the respective part in the textbook. NCERT has been directed to file a compliance report within 2 weeks, with the director held accountable for enforcement. The court also signalled possible contempt action in the matter. The Chief Justice said that if the chapter is found to be deliberate, it could amount to criminal contempt. Show cause notices have been issued to senior education officials, and the court has sought details of those who drafted and cleared the chapter. The case will be taken up again after 4 weeks. This came after a media report flagged a Class 8 textbook section titled Corruption in the Judiciary. Senior advocates raised the issue before the Chief Justice, after which the court took suo motu cognizance. The bench said that the chapter highlighted allegations against the judiciary but failed to reflect its constitutional role, calling the narrative one-sided and potentially damaging. After the court's remarks, NCERT responded. It called the chapter an error of judgment, halted distribution, and said that the content would be withdrawn and revised. An apology was also tendered in court. However, the bench questioned whether the apology was genuine or a response to mounting pressure.
And now viewers, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi was not only welcomed in Israel but celebrated as he delivered his historic speech at the Israeli Parliament. Now, on the second day of his visit to Israel after 9 years, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Israeli President Isaac Herzog. The two leaders discussed several ways to further improve cooperation in sectors such as education, startups, innovation, tech and connectivity. And as the details of the bilateral meeting are still awaited, defense and tech cooperation is there on the cards for India. Defense being a prime target, India looks forward to Israel's best-known missile shield Iron Dome. The bilateral political ties are also warm and forward-looking between India and Israel. Here's more for you. Take a look.
India and Israel exchanged key memorandums of understanding following the delegation-level talks between PM Modi and Israel's PM. Israeli Minister Gaila Gamliel emphasized that several agreements will be signed to boost cooperation in agriculture, AI, cybersecurity, defense and other key sectors. Defense partnership and counter-terror cooperation took center stage. Talks focused on strengthening India's multi-layered air and missile defense architecture, including the collaboration on ballistic missile defense. Discussions also explored on joint development of mid-air refueling aircraft to replace aging IL-78 tankers and enhance the Indian Air Force's strategic reach. India is already procuring systems like Barak 8 Spider Heron UAVs from Israel with a joint production under Make in India. Israeli President Isaac Herzog encouraged young Indian students to come to study in Israel. He emphasized the connectivity between Israel and India can change the entire geostrategic situation towards the advantage of the global south. Israeli President and PM Modi also planted a sapling in Yad Vashem together. With India and Israel on their way to rewrite the old ties, the strategic collaboration between the two countries strengthened.
And now, viewers, the Telangana government is all set to acquire all the land in residential areas within 50 meters of the Musi River. This is for the implementation of the ambitious Musi River Fund development project. Officials have now issued evacuation notifications for the land acquisition. However, residents are protesting this move, saying it will render them homeless. Here's the full report. Take a look.
The Telangana Congress government has issued a notification to evacuate apartments near the Musi River to construct the tallest Mahatma Gandhi statue. The project, worth Rs 5,000 crores, is the ambitious Musi Riverfront development project in Hyderabad.
Don't make us homeless! Don't make us homeless! Don't make us homeless! Don't make us homeless!
A notification issued by the Congress government to this particular residents here saying that they fall under the buffer zone for their ambitious Musi Riverfront project, so that they have to be evacuated. This particular notice issued to them, they have given them 60 days time to evacuate this particular residents. However, the residents here are claiming that this particular notice will make them homeless, will throw them out of their house, and they have been living here for several years and decades with their families living here for several decades, and asking them to evacuate this particular resident just in 60 days is something that is unacceptable, and the residents here have been protesting.
The project is facing backlash from the residents, mostly retired defense personnel and senior citizens who have lived there for decades.
They want to acquire entire apartment. We have 2 blocks, entire 6 point some change land. They want to acquire. They gave a notice for the acquisition. They are following the process of the acquisition, and we requesting them. We doesn't want to. We had our GBM unanimously passed a resolution not to surrender our land.
The project, named Gandhi Sarovar Project, estimated to be set up in a sprawling 200 acres, has become controversial, with the government deciding to evacuate nearly 500 families living in Madhu Park Ridge apartments in Banglagura Jagir near Musi River. Residents claim that they do not oppose the project, rather they urge to implement without having to displace them.
Okay, I purchased this flat in 2017. So that time I have verified all the legal documents. Okay. That time we came to know that according to GO 2010, the builder need to leave 9 meters buffer zone. As you can see, there is a more than 9 meter buffer zone is there. After that, in 2012, they released one more GO where they mention like any new construction which is beside river bed, they need to follow 30 meters buffer zone. So they already given permission in 2010, and this construction is completed in 2012. Already people are occupied these flats. So now suddenly they are saying it is illegal and builder didn't follow the 30 meters buffer zone.
Meanwhile, Mahatma Gandhi's great-grandson, Tushar Gandhi, have strongly condemned the move, saying displacing residents to create space for a Gandhi statue is the most un-Gandhian action, and appealed the Telangana Chief Minister to not do it. The Telangana government clarified that structures earmarked fall within the designated buffer zone. However, residents claim that the apartment complex, built legally in 2007, did not come under the buffer zone and oppose the proposed acquisition. Residents are protesting the move for the past 10 days and are adamant on not moving out of their homes.
And now viewers, in a big setback to Kerala's story too, Kerala High Court has officially stayed the release of the film, which was in fact originally scheduled to hit the theatres tomorrow, that's February 27. Here's a breakdown of what exactly unfolded with the movie and what is the court saying now. Take a look.
Justice Bechu Kurian Thomas issued an interim stay on the film for 15 days. The court observed that the Central Board of Film Certification seemingly failed to apply its mind properly when granting the film a UA certificate. The court also noted that the content of the film, particularly in the teaser, had prima facie potential to distort the public perception and disturb communal harmony. The judge also noted that since the film claims to be based on true events, the concerns raised by the petitioners about the misrepresentation and causing social discord seems valid. Meanwhile, the Central Board of Film Certification has been directed to re-examine the film and the petitioners' concern within the next 2 weeks.
Now viewers, on the edge of India's western frontier, where our brave soldiers stand guard day and night, the Indian Army's Western Command today showcased its unmatched combat readiness and lethal precision. Meanwhile, in a strong address, the Western Army commander highlighted the significance of last year's operations, saying that the army gave Pakistan a befitting reply during Operation Sindoor. He warned that if Pakistan attempts any conflict again, India will ensure that they are taught a hard lesson. Take a look at this report.
On the edge of India's western frontier, where our courage has been tested time and again, the Western Command of the Indian Army lays bare its unmatched combat readiness. From Dhyan Chand Stadium in Pathankot, a demonstration of power and precision unfolds. The Bhairav Battalion, a unit at the cutting edge of ground warfare, stands shoulder to shoulder with the Ashni platoon, the Indian Army's aerial power. Apache helicopters, intelligence and surveillance vehicles, and state-of-the-art counter-drone systems display a combat network built for the 21st century battlefield. Every tank, every drone, every system is not just hardware, it's a statement emphasizing that India is prepared and India is vigilant. Meanwhile, as Western Army Commander Lieutenant General Manoj Kumar Katiyar addressed the nation, he honored the heroes of Operation Sindoor, the campaign that delivered a decisive, resounding response to cross-border provocations. In his address, the Western Army Commander laid emphasis on how crucial last year was and how the Army gave Pakistan a befitting reply in Operation Sindoor. He warned sternly that if Pakistan attempts again, India will teach them a hard lesson. He also asserted that the danger is not over yet, and this time preparations are heavier than ever.
सिंदूर में जैसा आपने देखा कि हमने 7 तारीख को उनके सभी टेररिस्ट बेसिस पर हमला किया था, उसके बाद उन्होंने कुछ जवाबी कार्रवाई की और उसके जवाब में जो हमने
All right, viewers, we've got a big breaking news. Enforcement Directorate has now filed a prosecution.
Breaking news that former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram has now been charge sheeted by the Enforcement Directorate in the Aircel-Maxis case. In fact, we are just being given to understand that this case has been filed in the Rouse Avenue court. The charge sheet has been filed here and they have basically charged him of money laundering. I'll just quickly take you through the details of the charge sheet that I've just got from my source. In fact, this is what they have mentioned in the charge sheet that they have filed, that the investigation has revealed that the then Finance Minister P. Chidambaram had basically granted approvals to Aircel-Maxis in lieu of quid pro quo. So you have the former Finance Minister, the UPA government, being charged for quid pro quo. There is a corruption case in which now P. Chidambaram has been named, and further details emerging from the investigation, the charge sheet that has been filed. They say the foreign investor had basically applied for approval of the government for FDI of almost about $800 million. Now that's the number that has been put out by the Enforcement Directorate in the charge sheet, where they're saying USD about 3,569 crore rupees. That's the charge that they've leveled. In fact, this has also been filed before the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. In fact, this matter was basically raised before the CCEA for the nod to be given for Aircel-Maxis as far as their operations in India is concerned. Now, they say that there is a larger conspiracy at play. The approval was basically given in a fraudulent manner, in a fraudulent, dishonestly granted by then Finance Minister P. Chidambaram. This was in 2006 when the approvals were basically given to Aircel-Maxis for further operations. Let me also take you through more details. They're saying that they're competent to consider and approve the FDI proposals involving total investment, a total investment of about 600 crore rupees, and investigation so far has revealed that illegal gratification of about 1 crore rupees was actually received by Karti Chidambaram. I'm just waiting for a confirmation from my source whether at all Karti Chidambaram has also been charge sheeted. But I can make a mention of the fact that as far as Karti Chidambaram is concerned, they do make a mention of the fact that illegal gratification was allegedly received by Karti Chidambaram, and that was about 1 crore rupees. In fact, this came in to a company that has been linked to Karti Chidambaram, that is MS Advantage Consulting Private Limited. So the money that they took from Aircel-Maxis and subsidiary companies were essentially from third parties, and it finally was being routed to companies linked to Karti Chidambaram. In fact, the other point that has been made in the charge sheet is that the financial transactions between Chidambaram and his son Karti Chidambaram has also basically emerged in the investigation. They've revealed that funds that were received by this company called Advantage Strategic Consulting Private Limited have been spent for and on behalf of P. Chidambaram. So they are clearly making a mention that it was the money that was being received by Karti Chidambaram was on behalf of P. Chidambaram. Now, this is how they are substantiating this particular claim, by saying that in certain signatures that were made as far as financial transactions are concerned, Karti Chidambaram himself had done it. Now, the other important aspect that has been highlighted here is that they are also picking up that proceeds of crime amounting to about 1 crore rupees has been provisionally attached. They also make a mention of the fact that P. Chidambaram has been named as an accused number 6. So let's just put these details out. P. Chidambaram has now been named as accused number 6 as far as this case is concerned. And the order has been placed before the Honorable Supreme Special Court, Rouse Avenue, by the ED to expedite the trial. So yet another big news now coming in with a prosecution complaint, which is essentially a charge sheet that has been filed against the former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram for his clear role as far as the Aircel-Maxis is concerned. Let me just quickly recap for all our viewers who are tuning in right now why this is a significant development that has taken place in the Aircel-Maxis case, because you're clearly looking at the role of the then Finance Minister emerging from this investigation that has carried out so far, with the Enforcement Directorate clearly stating that for the Aircel-Maxis operations in India, an investment of about 600 crore rupees, which was basically expected, the licenses were essentially given in a fraudulent manner. In fact, there was a quid pro quo is what the enforcement directorate maintains. And as far as the quid pro quo is concerned, they're clearly indicating that roughly about 1 crore rupees was actually sent to a company that was linked to P. Chidambaram's son, Karti Chidambaram. Advantage Strategic Consulting Private Limited is the company that allegedly received the money from Aircel-Maxis and subsidiary companies. So clearly, the charge here leveled against the former finance minister is of giving licenses when he was holding power, and the very fact that certain rules and as far as FIPB, they were also flouted by the then finance minister.
All right, so those are the big details that have been revealed now by the ED in the case against former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram. Shravan, do give us more details as to what role he played in exactly giving approval to these companies.
Well, in fact, I'll just take you through some more details I've just received from a source of mine in the enforcement director with regards to the developments that have actually taken place. Now, this is what they say, that they've already placed the prosecution sanction, and they've received orders from competent authority with regards to sanctioning P. Chidambaram, the then Union Finance Minister, in respect of the offence of money laundering, number one. Number two, they're making a mention of the fact that investigation has revealed that the Foreign Investment Promotion Board approval was basically granted by INX Media to INX Media Private Limited during the tenure of P. Chidambaram as the Union Finance Minister. Point number three that they make in the charge sheet is with regards to granting and subsequently regularizing this FIPB approval. Illegal gratification was basically demanded and received through entities that were basically linked to P. Chidambaram. And in fact, they're saying that the financial transactions that were basically taking place in these companies, in which it seems that Karti Chidambaram has been directly linked, they say this is on behalf of the former finance minister P. Chidambaram. They've also taken statements of various individuals of INX Media Private Limited, where they say that these licenses were basically granted in a fraudulent manner. There was pressure, undue pressure that was put on the FIBP board to basically grant those permissions for carrying out operations in India.
Now, Shravan, there's also a mention of some transactions between P. Chidambaram as well as his son Karti Chidambaram, and also he's mentioned that he took some kickbacks. In fact, in the charge sheet, give us more details on that. What exactly was the role played by Karti Chidambaram here?
Well, the mention of this company called Advantage Strategic Consulting Private Limited is a company. In fact, this is an exhaustive, investigation that was also done by Republic Media Network a few years ago, when we had also accessed documents of Advantage Strategic Consulting Private Limited. The question was whether at all Karti Chidambaram was linked to this particular company or not. Now, the documents in possession of Republic TV clearly goes on to indicate that there is a direct link with Karti Chidambaram, number one. Number two, the fact that he was also receiving money from various other entities. There is also a visa scam in which Karti Chidambaram has been probed by the central agencies, where they're basically saying that these are the companies that were basically floated so that they could take the money, particularly money that was, or the proceeds of crime that was generated from these scams, so that they could be diverted and entered into these entities.
Right. Shravan, so we understand now ED has filed.
Well, in fact, Senior Advocate M.R. Venkatesh is joining us on this broadcast. M.R., we have just got information from our sources within the enforcement directorate, and in fact I have also got details of the charge sheet that has been filed against P. Chidambaram. They're making a clear mention of the fact that the FIPB approvals that were given to INX Media was done in a fraudulent manner. They're also putting out financial transactions that had taken place between Karti Chidambaram and various other entities. There is a clear case of quid pro quo.
Well, I'm very glad that the ED has finally blown open what we in Tamil Nadu used to call it as a Chidambara Rahasyam, punning on the Lord Chidambaram at the Chidambaram temple. because it was as if the political class will never touch Mr. Chidambaram and he will never be prosecuted. It is a red letter day. And if he is prosecuted and the prosecution is taken to a logical conclusion, probably several people within the legal fraternity, within Tamil Nadu, will be the happiest. I can assure you that. And this has not come a day too soon. And this was an open and shut case. The FIPB approvals to INX media was all bunkum, hogwash. This had to be done. And this has taken so long is only perplexing to me. This was an open and shut case. I was completely on top of these matters several years ago, as you will be aware. But I don't know why ED took such a long time to come and finish this investigation.
Amar, just with this development taking place where the sanction has basically been granted effectively, meaning that he would be charge-sheeted here. They've already placed it before the Rouse Avenue court. The court has basically given them the permission. In terms of options available for P. Chidambaram here, because all this while, P. Chidambaram maintains that there is no direct evidence that any pressure was actually put on the FIPB board, and this was not an individual decision, but rather a decision that was taken by the FIPB.
Now, let us not go too much into the merits, but the fact of the matter is, ED has consistently maintained and not denied by the Chidambaram that the money had actually flown into Kartik Chidambaram's account from various places. Now, the father was in charge of FIPB and the son was allegedly getting all the payments. Now, you don't have to be a Sherlock Holmes to put two and two together. It's basic common sense, basic human nature that the son was allegedly getting payments and the father was definitely approving the FIPB approvals through all his minions in the ministry. Now, that is the fact we need to factor in this type of situations.
Well, thank you very much, Amar, for joining us on this broadcast. A big news coming in from the national capital, where the nod has been given for charge-sheeting P. Chidambaram, the former finance minister, as far as the Aircel-Maxis case is concerned. Ishita.
All right, viewers, that's the big news coming in at this hour. P. Chidambaram has been charge-sheeted by ED in a money laundering case. The charge sheet also mentions his son, Kartik Chidambaram, and Republic is breaking the story at this point. Big allegations and in fact mentioned in that charge sheet against P. Chidambaram, the former finance minister. It's a case of a money laundering, in fact, involving Aircel-Maxis, and now he's been charge-sheeted. We'll of course have to see what are the options available for the former finance minister. The son, Kartik Chidambaram, is also mentioned in the case, and those are the latest updates, viewers, we're getting at this point about ED filing a prosecution, a sanction against the former finance minister, Kartik P. Chidambaram, in fact, and the son also, Kartik Chidambaram, mentioned in the ED charge sheet. It's a case of money laundering involving Aircel-Maxis, and we're breaking the story at this point. It's a case that has been going on for a long time now, and former finance minister has now been named by the Enforcement Directorate in its charge sheet, mentioning, in fact, that he had given some approval to companies. And now the son is also mentioned in the ED charge sheet along with the former finance minister. That's the latest update we're getting at this point on Republic TV. ED has filed a prosecution sanction against the former finance minister. All right, those are the latest update, viewers, we're getting in this. ED has now filed a charge sheet against the former finance minister. The son, Kartik Chidambaram, is also mentioned in it. It is a case of money laundering, in fact, involving Aircel-Maxis. And we're getting you all the breaking updates on this big story. We have been talking about this, continuous coverage on this. And now ED, in fact, it's a big development that has come in. ED filing a charge sheet which clearly mentions both the father and the son, the former finance minister, as well as the son, Karti Chidambaram. In this case, it seems that trouble is now mounting for both. Now viewers, shifting focus. For the first time, the Indian Air Force shares a video showcasing the Sudarshan S-400 long-range air defense missile system in operation, along with the caption of scoring the longest ever kill recorded in military history. Now, the Indian Air Force had secured the kill using the S-400 Sudarshan air defense system during Operation Sindoor in May last year. Let's take a look at that video that in fact has been shared. And now viewers, on the edge of India's western frontier, where our brave soldiers stand guard day and night, the Indian Army's Western Command today showcased its unmatched combat readiness and lethal precision. Meanwhile, in a strong address, the Western Army commander highlighted the significance of last year's operation, saying that the army gave Pakistan a befitting reply during Operation Sindoor. He warned that if Pakistan attempts any conflict again, India will ensure that they are taught a hard lesson. Take a look at this report.
On the edge of India's western frontier, where our courage has been tested time and again, the Western Command of the Indian Army lays bare its unmatched combat readiness. From Dhyan Chand Stadium in Pathankot, a demonstration of power and precision unfolds. The Bhairav Battalion, a unit at the cutting edge of ground warfare, stands shoulder to shoulder with the Ashni platoon, the Indian Army's aerial power. Apache helicopters, intelligence and surveillance vehicles, and state-of-the-art counter-drone systems display a combat network built for the 21st century battlefield. Every tank, every drone, every system is not just hardware, it's a statement emphasizing that India is prepared and India is vigilant. Meanwhile, as Western Army Commander Lieutenant General Manoj Kumar Katiyar addressed the nation, he honored the heroes of Operation Sindoor, the campaign that delivered a decisive, resounding response to cross-border provocations. In his address, the Western Army Commander laid emphasis on how crucial last year was and how the Army gave Pakistan a befitting reply in Operation Sindoor. He warned sternly that if Pakistan attempts again, India will teach them a hard lesson. He also asserted that the danger is not over yet, and this time preparations are heavier than ever.
सिंदूर में जैसा आपने देखा कि हमने 7 तारीख को उनके सभी टेररिस्ट बेसिस पर हमला किया था, उसके बाद उन्होंने कुछ जवाबी कार्रवाई की और उसके जवाब में जो हमने उनके मिलिट्री बेसिस, एयर बेसिस को जिस तरह से बर्बाद किया, उसके बाद उसने फिर सीज़ फायर की मांग की। और सीज़ फायर की मांग सिर्फ डायरेक्टली हमसे नहीं की, हमको लगता है कि और भी देशों के पास उसने अपना ये मैसेज भेजा कि हमें इंडिया से सीज़ फायर करवा दो। नहीं, हम उसकी जहाँ भी इस तरह की हरकतें हैं, कार्रवाई हैं, हम उस पर पूरा नज़र रखे हुए हैं और हमको इस बात का ज्ञान है कि वहाँ पर क्या कार्रवाई हो रही है, वो किस तरीके से अपना टेररिस्ट बेसिस को अगर रिजुविनेट कर रहा है या दोबारा से इकट्ठा करने की कोशिश कर रहा है, तो हमें उसकी जानकारी हासिल है।
Across the border, Pakistan's military leadership clings to relevance by conflict, by exploiting terror proxies, and also by reviving terrorist networks.
पाकिस्तान आर्मी का सपोर्ट है, हमको लगता है कि इन्फिल्ट्रेट कराने में पाकिस्तान आर्मी भी सपोर्ट कर रही है और जो टेररिस्ट ट्रेन होकर आ रहे हैं, हो सकता है उनकी ट्रेनिंग में भी पाकिस्तान आर्मी मदद कर रही है।
Yet time and again, they underestimate the Indian Army's reach and resolve. On the other hand, Operation Sindoor was surgical, precise and decisive. Terror bases were neutralized. Pakistani military installations were heavily targeted. Sindoor 2.0 is being meticulously prepared, deeper, faster, stronger. From drone systems at Western Command to tactical innovations within the Bhairav Battalion.
पिछली बार जो हमने किया, इस बार हम कुछ और करेंगे, उससे बढ़कर करेंगे, किस हद तक करेंगे और कितना अंदर जाकर करेंगे, ये ऑपरेशनल प्लान का डिटेल है। तो जब ये ग्राउंड पर होगा आपको महसूस होगा कि इस बार जो हुआ है वो पहले से ज़्यादा हुआ।
Remember how Pakistan was in fear, how Shehbaz Sharif was seen worried, and how he went on prostrate and begged for a ceasefire.
जो हमारा पाकिस्तान से बातचीत हुआ था 7 तारीख को हमले के बाद, हमारे डीजीएमओ ने मैसेज भेजा था कि हमने अपनी कार्रवाई पूरी कर ली है, अभी हम बात करना चाहते हैं, पर उसने उस समय बात करने से इनकार किया। और उसके बाद जैसा आपको पता है अगले 88 घंटे जो लड़ाई हुई और उसके बाद उसने फिर हमको अप्रोच किया। जब उसके मिलिट्री बेसिस पर बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान हुआ तो उसके डीजीएमओ ने फिर हमारे डीजीएमओ को अप्रोच किया कि हम बात करना चाहते हैं।
Meanwhile, speaking on US President Donald Trump, claiming that Shehbaz Sharif would have died if he did not mediate, the army commander said this. From the skies above to the land beneath, the Indian Army integrates intelligence, surveillance, and cutting-edge defense systems. Where Pakistan relies on bluff and terror, India relies on innovation, preparedness, and the unyielding valor of its forces. Operation Sindoor was a warning. Today, the Indian Army's might is on display, and a clear message has been sent to Pakistan.
And viewers, that's all we could pack in this edition of Live and Breaking. Thank you so much for watching, but don't go anywhere. On the other side, the CBI registers a case against Anil Ambani, initiating fresh investigation into Bank of Baroda charges.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरी राजा, राजा और प्योर मसाला।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
Pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
अनीस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड। अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, healthy every day.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
MDH की देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का। MDH की देगी मिर्च।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार। क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
Now here's the reality, it's fact not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
अनीस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड। दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, healthy every day.
Now here's the reality, it's fact not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, At that very moment, while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same SpiceJet that does not have the money to pay the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been, I don't know the present situation, not allowed to fly in Bangladeshi airspace. They're out of money. Who is the owner of SpiceJet? This is the same SpiceJet, ladies and gentlemen, when another SpiceJet took off from Patna to Delhi on 19 June 2022. It caught fire soon after taking off from the airport. Flames were seen on the left wing of the aircraft. 2 blades were bent. So you should see the visuals then and now, ladies and gentlemen. Then and now. Look at that and now. Ladies and gentlemen, a SpiceJet plane catches fire in mid-air in December. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is 19 June 2022 and then now. And you are flying at your peril in this country. The government couldn't care less. SpiceJet is a near bankrupt airline. There is a nice duopoly going on between Air India and Indigo. The politicians fly chartered planes anyway. But I want to remind them, 2nd July 2020.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा,
राजा आर मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना। लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहाँ नो टेंशन वहाँ।
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिकर।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल। ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े। क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
अरे टेंशन किस बात की? सेंचुरी प्रोवुड का प्रीमियम प्लस है ना। लो एमिशन है, हाई डेंसिटी है, वाटर रेजिस्टेंट भी, टर्माइट एंड बोरो रेजिस्टेंट भी है। यानी ये है जहाँ नो टेंशन वहाँ।
प्रीमियम प्लस बाय सेंचुरी प्रोवुड।
आर प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला।
मुस्कुराए लड़खड़ाए जिंदगी जिंदगी चाहे जो भी हो।
सर, पेशेंट के लिए कौन सा रूम प्रेफर करेंगे आप?
जिंदगी भर के प्यार का कोई रेट कार्ड नहीं होता। टाटा AIG हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, विद यू लाइक फैमिली, विद यू ऑलवेज।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same SpiceJet that does not have the money to pay the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been.
বাইরের থেকে After the 2-day successful visit of the Prime Minister from Jerusalem, where he takes off after the joint statement that was issued by India and Israel. On your screens right now, those moments of the Prime Minister with Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife Sarah on your screens right now. This comes after a very successful trip of the Prime Minister, in which both the leaders have essentially spoken about affirming the strategic depths of the relationship that has been shared